I'm going to turn this rig around. I'm going to invite Jessica to join me. Janie had to leave. It's really unfortunate. So thanks. And thanks for, here we are. Sometimes I say that we're at that point in the meeting, and I'm really glad to have this opportunity to have some reflections. The Ward 5 team over the years has been Donna Sanders, who was executive assistant, who came with us from my predecessor, and thank God she did, because she knew everything, and she was so helpful to us. She joined Kim O'Brien and I in the Ward 5 office, and we started on our journey. Kwajung Kim took Kim O'Brien's place, and it was a delight to work with her. And then Janie Vang took over for Donna Sanders. And then our fifth and final teammate was Jessica Larson Johnston. And it is very rare in your life when you get to have an opportunity to work with a lifelong best friend. And so she agreed to join me, although she knew that I was wrapping up my time in office, and we said we are going to have a lot of fun, do a lot of work, and do it together in partnership. And it has been a pure joy. So I'm going to turn things over to Jessica to kick us off, and then bring us home.
Hi, council members. I'm going to start by just actually addressing you all. When I first came on board, it was July 2021, and I think I was in the office less than a week, and our then Director of Council Operations, Trudy Maloney, came into my office and tasked me with taking over the contract to hire her new successor. And I worked with Joel Bergstrom from Orion Search Group, and I had to jump right into the deep end. I barely knew anybody. City Hall was empty, the pandemic was still on, people weren't back to work yet. And you know what, like we say this all the time, but sometimes the best way to do things is to jump right in and force yourself to start swimming. The undertaking allowed me to get to know each of you council members. And Russell, I got to know you this year, and at that time it was Councilmember Daitau. And I got to know each of you on a deeper level. You put your trust in me through an exercise of hiring that wasn't conventional. We couldn't have a quorum. It was a juggling act of 3-part interviews. It was feedback sessions that eventually led to the hire of Brendmoen. I appreciated that process because it allowed me to hit the ground running and form relationships with all of you right off the bat. Thank you. LA's legislative aides, it's a special bunch. It's a balancing act of friendship and support, guarded conversations at times, deep dives into policy and projects and priorities, all the while being loyal to our council members. I have a full-on gratitude for my fellow LAs, Dan, Tina, Dua, J-Lor, Stephanie, and a special shout out to Adam Eust. We started 1 week from each other. We learned to swim and sometimes just tread water at the same time. Amy, a lot of you know, and she's already said, and a lot of you already knew, but we have known each other well for a really long time. I first met Amy at camp. I was in the leadership development program. She had already gone through that program and had, of course, been hired on as a counselor. Already leading at age 16. Go figure. I looked across the big athletic field, noticed her right away shining as a camp counselor, a gaggle of little kids chasing her. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm gonna be her friend. Fast forward. We've collaborated on many projects and events over the years, recognizing our special synergy. But these past 2.5 years have been really special. Watching your thoughtful leadership in your community, in these chambers, in our Ward 5 office has been a great pleasure. I have loved this work, and I have you to thank for recognizing that I would before I knew it. My favorite part of every day has been walking into this beautiful building. Unbelievable that I got to come here every day, and the most rewarding was serving Ward 5, always as a team, alongside you and Janie Vang. Thank you.
I think I'm the one who's lucky. I do want to mention that it was so cool to watch Mr. Tolbert's family here with him. I want you to know I invited my family too. I will say that Mr. Hom is here on other business. Sawyer has a full-time job and couldn't make it, and Hawkinson finals, and Lars did not answer the text. So life changes. It's been a year. It's strange when you have to quit a job and give a year notice. And so since I have announced, I've had a lot of time to answer questions like, why did you quit? What's your favorite part about that? What was the worst part? Are you running for mayor? Actually, are you running for Congress? What are you gonna do next? I just have to know these things. And I'm like, I don't know, it's January, man. I have a whole year left of this job. But it has been a cool opportunity to reflect on the work and the challenges, the opportunities, and truly, and mirroring what Jessica said, this job has been an honor. What a joy. What a joy. The building, the people, the community. It's been an honor to work with the council staff, which I mentioned earlier today. Also the administration, the department leaders, the community, the mayor himself and deputy mayor. I appreciate so much the opportunity to work with you. And Kristen Beckman, Paul Williams, Mayor Coleman. Just 12 years, as Mr. Tolbert said, went by in a flash. I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about today. I actually was awake at night a lot thinking about that, and recognized at some point that there was really no need to tell you all about Rice-Larpenter Alliance, or about Como Pavilion, or Como Frontendale, about how cool the Grand Round is, because we've been here grinding it out together, you know that. I decided we don't need to talk about the dark days of COVID when we switched to online meetings. I do want you to know that one time I ran the meeting from my ironing board on the back porch. It was so windy, but there was people working in the house, and papers were flying. And when we did online meetings, everyone's face was up the whole time, so it's kind of intense. I'm not going to tell you about that. But working through the civil unrest after the murder of George Floyd, gun violence, and other challenges, but also the grand openings and the grand joys. We've done all these things together, and I'm so proud. I'm really so proud. But instead, I thought what might be meaningful to share is some things that has been consistent for me over the time as I've reflected. And there's some guiding principles that I've adopted, and I want to share 3. One of the things I'm not going to share is that you should always tell 3 things, because then people know, beginning, middle, end, right? All right, so here's the 3 things that have been constant through my time in the office. The first thing is that was told to me early on by then reporter Tim Nelson and Chuck Repke and Chris Parsons, who are no longer with us, that council is easy. All you have to do is count to 4. And I was like, totally. I thought I got what they were saying. I know what a majority of 7 is. It's 4, duh. But I quickly saw the depth in that cliche. It is really easy to use the seat as a place to critique or saber rattle or create sound bites or just make a fuss. But if you really want to deliver and make a difference for your community and for this city that we love, you need 4 votes to make something pass. Better yet, if you have 5. And that takes work, it takes vision, it takes building a coalition. And I'm really proud that this council has taken that "this only takes 4" model to the next level, where we recognize that when we are 7, we are mighty strong. And we work together on 6 budgets, and we work together on ARPA funding to deliver in sometimes the most boring things you could possibly imagine, to talk about things that will not go on our campaign literature. But when we replace lead pipes, when we update our technology, we got you. Those things really matter to the way the city runs, and we did that in lockstep as a council. And so I'm really proud of taking 4 to 5 to 6 and often to 7. I think it's important. The second thing is that this work is a marathon, not a sprint. Kathy Lantry said that to me first, although I've heard it many times subsequently. A lot of stuff, as you know, similarly, you think, oh yeah, things take time. The Ford Bridge, which Chris talked about earlier, Pedro Park, the North End Community Center, these things take a decade or more to make, sometimes significantly longer. But again, it's more than that. Like, this council work is really about the long game. It's about building a vision, building a coalition, and building real relationships. Kathy mentioned to me one time that she always told the truth, because that way she didn't have to remember like what she told people. I thought those were words to live by: to be trustworthy, to be reliable, to do what you say you're gonna do, and to be able to adjust your own priorities to help others advance their own work. These attributes have paid off over time. And to be clear, I am very impatient. And I think that's okay. But it's important in your impatience to keep your eyes on the prize and to keep your eyes on the long game. The last thing I will share is just, I think it's important, and this one I brought myself, is to be tough on issues but easy on people. David, Cha, Asha, Alyssa, Nate, Nick, Queenie, Jules, Angela, Ross, Brittany, Ruben, Therese, Louise, Philowich and Quast, Lori, Katie, Yer, Jimmy, Bridget, Drew, Raquel. These names should resonate with the council. And they are only a small sampling of all the people who work for the city, and they do it because they love St. Paul just as much as we do. Melvin once said, in the city, when everyone else, the city's role is where everyone else runs away, we run in. Whether it's an emergency, fire, unrest, violence, or things like youth development or unsheltered folk, we go in. And because we do that, we have to be decisive and we have to act quickly, and we have amazing results. It's an ever-changing environment. And we do really good work, but sometimes we make mistakes. And when we do, because it happens and it will, I just encourage folks to continue to be really tough on the issues and push ourselves to do better, check our execution, make plan revisions for the future, but be easy on the people. These are our teammates. So the last council meeting of the year always coincides with the winter solstice. And many of you know that I'm not the most religious person, but so for me, winter solstice is sort of my high holiday. Tomorrow brings the darkest day of the year. It's a time to pause, reset, and reflect. And then together we will look forward to the light that the future brings. Thank you.